Alright, there we go. Now let's push through the link. Okie dokie, okie dokie. Hello, hello, people. Alright, I'm sticking this over here. It's gonna be a little bit hard to read chat, but that's just how it's gonna have to be tonight, I suppose. Hey, Thunder. So I'm late because I was messing around with my camera settings, and for some reason, I've once again run into problems with Linux not being able to use things because it's built in a Windows distribution. Oh boy. So yeah, apparently, well, I don't know. It may work on Linux too, because I think like VTube Studio works fine, but I have to give it like permission to use the camera or something, and apparently people have problems with that. So I can't use my webcam for VTuber tracking, which means I still got to use my phone. Which most people would say, well, that's better anyway. Why don't you just do that? But I have to keep my phone plugged in, and it's, I don't know, I just have problems. It'd be better if it was just my webcam on the computer, I feel like. But anyway. So I'll have to figure that out sometime. Yeah. Anyway, I'm supposed to be finishing this. And we have a lot to finish. Namely this thing, which we've done all the XYs for. That's done. But I need to redo what I did the other night. I agree, less steps. And at some point, I want to automate that kind of setup. Automate? What do you mean automate? Regis is confused. What's automate? Huh? Huh? Actually, let me turn on, hold on, you might see something pop up. Oh, actually, no, I have that set up where it doesn't. That's cool. What if I do settings? Oh, this app's so good. Oh, no, it's just behind. Okay, maybe I won't do that right now then. Maybe I won't do that right now then. I'll mess with that later. Or I could do it now. Hold on a sec. This is for a bit, but like if I turn me off for a minute. There we go. Now I can do this. I need to go to my hotkeys. Set unset expression. Expression editor. Create a new one. And it's gonna be the this one. That one. What? Save. we're gonna do. Oh, it's gonna be. I don't know why my number pad doesn't work for this kind of stuff. Maybe I have to turn it on. There we go. Okay, that's it. That was it. That was it. Is it done? Let's change this one then to be. Okay. Done. Do that. Okay. Now, ha 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 ha! I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Okay. Turn myself back on. Hey. Okay, I'm back. Check this out. So now I can do this, and it's a fun bit. So like, at some point, I need to automate this. What do you mean? At some point, you need to automate this, huh? What do you mean? Elaborate. What you talking about? Automate it. I have hotkeys. That's fun. Okay. Anyway, so doing more rigging stuff. Let's go to. Yip. Oh, you sent it to me in Discord. Okay. I'm not gonna read this out loud then. That sounds interesting. Yeah, we could look at that later then. Sorry, chat. He didn't want to share. He's also like the only person in the chat, so you know. Oh, Buggy's playing Hogwarts Legacy. Okay. Anyway, I'm supposed to be rigging, so let's get to this. We're gonna go to IL open, and we're gonna make myself some new parameters at the different values that I have here. So there's gonna be 1 at 1.4, 1 at 1.05. I don't know why it wants to go there. It's something weird about the math. It's gonna be at 1.0 and then 1 at 0. We're gonna hit OK. Now, here, I'm gonna do the things that I did last time again. Take me a minute. We're just gonna like curl it some more. Is essentially what I'm doing. Something like this. And we're gonna go whoop. Something as simple as that I think is good. And then here we have to get really crazy. Because we have to move this. And I do wonder if a path deform tool would not be better for this, but what I know is warp over warp is something that does do what I want. So essentially what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this straight again, and then we have to work out how the mesh is gonna look with that. So Most of that is really just going to be a lot of this. And going back and forth to fix it. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. I have another hotkey I can switch to. Check this one out. This one's kind of fun. We do this. Now I have my drawing tablet. And it looks like Regis is actually working. I really need to use this one more. I spent the time to rig it when I was making mine. I think this one's definitely going to be one. I think I said this the last time I did this too. This one's definitely going to be one that needs like a heavier mesh. Or maybe even just more of these to mess with. Let me look at my pure rough board for this too. I don't know that this is looking exactly like how I want. Yeah, it's really meant to be more like... and the weight distribution needs to change some. Okay, we might try this with like a path deform instead. Either that or I'm going to have to turn up the number of things that I got. So now I have to do a bunch of undoing here. Or do I, could I just go here? Why don't we just go here and then we remove the warp deformers? Yeah, that'll work. And then we can, instead of doing this, we'll still give it that. And I think I am going to turn up the number of warp divisions. So currently it's 12 across, but only 8 high. I think this needs to be higher. So let's try giving it 14 by 12. Because I definitely need more of these types of controls to do the stuff that we're doing. And I might up this to 4 by 4 too, actually. Is that a little overkill? Yes, it is. I don't know. Maybe not. If we use a path deformer, we probably won't need that anyway. Okay, so that's that. We're going to reset our keyframes again. Actually, I might do the path first. Let's see. So basically, I want to do... Do I have to do that? I have to do that directly on the thing, don't I? Rats, why can't I do it on top of a warp deformer already? This may end up being okay, though. If I were to do something like this. Okay, and then instead of using this to deform it, I could. And I may still, but instead of doing that... And actually... Oh, is that going to break my X-Wise? Upping that number. Or do we still look okay here? There may be stuff to go back and fix, but actually I think we lucked out with that one. That worked out. Okay, so that's good. Anyway, wild. So yeah, up here, what I may do is on eye left open, give just specifically this part the deformers at 0, 1. But trying to be 1.5. You're not 1.5. You don't need the extra half an inch. Okay. And then here, then that would be as simple as just grabbing these and doing this. So if we want to have it move, and curl down a little bit more, we can do that. So now the movement from there to there would be something like this. I think that's a little too much, really. Let's try moving it back some here. So this is what it is here. Okay. Let's go back to this. So essentially I want it to, what do I want it to do? I really just want it to like shrink a little. So like it's breathing almost. Like it needs to be almost like an ambient kind of effect. Which I feel like that almost is. Let's click off of it. Like click off of it entirely and just check that. So like now the sea just sort of tightens when she does that. That's an interesting effect. Alright, I might tweak that one some more. But I think I do like that. So then what we can do is we can go to this one. And this should be a lot easier for me to get it to go vertical now. And then on this one, what we'll actually have to do, since we're deforming the actual mesh itself, which is typically not good practice, by the way, but since I'm only giving this to one deformer, it should be fine. What we'll do is we'll actually just straighten out the meshing a little bit here. This would almost be one that would benefit, I think, from having like its own its own mesh layer. But I think I can get by with it being like this. I just need to do some of this kind of editing here. Cool thing about doing it like this too is that like the path deformer is essentially just getting you close, and then you are telling it where you want it to be. Working that out for yourself some, which can be good. So there we go. So now when she's surprised, it should stand up like that. And then it'll kind of fold back over. I don't know for sure how perfect that's going to be. I really think I want to shrink this a little more. And we may experiment with going back to rigging it on the other one as well. It depends on how fast it does, but blinking happens pretty fast, so I think that this should end up looking pretty alright. So let's see here. If I can look. Just gonna look at this. So, okay. So when she blinks, that's gonna happen. And if we go to posing, sometimes she'll do the shocked expression. So let's take a look at it with posing and see what happens if she does that. It should anyway. I actually don't know if it ever will. Pattern B. Well, that'll kind of show it, but it doesn't show it happening naturally, which I'm not a big fan of. Let's stop this for a sec. Yeah, that is somehow controlled in there. I don't know how to get it to do it on its own. So that one might be one we have to wait and test during like actual tracking. But it's at least behaving the way. Like if we go here and I reset these, like it is at least behaving the way it's supposed to. Where when she does surprised, it goes up like that. And I think that looks pretty good. And then it's interesting that it kind of like moves when she blinks. Because what we're doing there is we're almost introducing like a physics setting when that happens. And if I gave it physics, like this is the fun part, because if I gave it physics for when it moves on the iPhysics layer, then it would also actually like have real movement when it does that, which could be cool. But I don't think you want to do too much more with that either, because if, say, for example, I put her on angle X and it does that, it'll play the motion out when she blinks. And can you see how that looks like, especially if we go to like a different like angle Y as well? So I don't think I want to play with that too much more. I think that it being subtle is good. But I think that gets the hair XY is just about done. There are some angles that I would still like to mess with some more, I think, but it's not too bad. And for Sketchy to have like a working model that looks pretty decent, I think we're just about there. I do want to mess with the hair a little bit more. But most of that's going to be minor. The only other thing that I might do that would actually change the XYs and the way that the angles are looking is those two hair tufts at the top, specifically on the up angles here. So if we go angle Y and we go up, especially like at this angle, I think it would benefit a lot from having those be a little bit more three-dimensional. But also, there's not a lot of points in time when you're doing like VTuber modeling and stuff, or you're using this for live streaming, that you're going to be looking up like this. Okay? Like, can you see what Regis is doing right now? This doesn't happen a lot. More often, you're going to be looking down if you're going to be looking at something, right? So you can kind of cheat a little bit with the upward angles. Like, you're not going to see that much. And this does still look pretty okay for an up angle, especially if we pull in like the back hair, and the back hair looks pretty good, and the hair's all got physics and stuff on it. Like, it should end up being pretty okay. As far as how that looks. You know, Regis' sideburns should shake a lot when I turn this way. Might need to change his physics settings for that. That's kind of weird. He's just got one waggly piece of hair. Huh. Oh boy. Anyway. So that's that stuff. So now we get to move on to back hair, guys. The other part of the model that needs to do this. Because the front hair is all done. We finished. I mean, mostly. I do need to do some more sculpting on it, but I'll do that later. Once we get everything moving. I want to see everything moving first, and then I'll decide if I need to spend the time going back and sculpting it or not. I probably will, but better to look at it and have it than to not. So let's do some other stuff here. That's not what I'm looking for. I need this. Side bangs. Oh, we have the side bangs. Heck, the side bangs. Oh dear. I have to do these parts too, don't I? That's not the back hair. Because this is the back hair. Mind you. Okay, that's the back hair. That part. And short. Back hair short and that. Side bangs are this. Oh, and then there's the scalp. Okay, I thought something was missing from back there. Okay, so the good news is the back hair is going to be really easy. We don't have to do like hardly anything at all to that, really, until we get to physics. Like, that's going to actually move more with... I mean, it's going to move with her head, but it's almost going to move more with her body than it is with, like, actually doing stuff. So that's a lot easier. So it's really this side hair that we have to have. I don't know. Back hair short is this, which will move with her side bangs. So that's going to be important too. So that's the next things that we have to mess with. So let's see. I will do the back hair short after we do the side bangs though. So we have L front, side bang, short. We have these pieces. Okay. That all need to be drug inside of my head XY. Do they need to be inside of face XY though? Is a good question. I don't think so. I don't think those parts really do. I think they need to be inside of the other one, but they don't need to be attached to the face. They just need to be attached to when she turns her head, which will happen in angle X and Y anyway. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is going to be good once we get it attached. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like that. Which I did put that... Technically, that was a part of the bangs, and I did put that on the face, but... Oh, well. I'm not going to do it with the rest of this stuff. Oh, and actually, wait, no, that's the head. That stuff is this, because this is these parts. Yeah. So that's working the way that we want it to. So that's the left short side. Side bangs L short. And then there are these ones too, which are on the other side and are also going to be under head XY. And you can see what that's doing. Just them being under head XY is causing some... Actually, some kind of cool layer shifts here. They do get very flat here, though. We're going to fix that. With the face, and this is, again, why I'm not putting them into the face. Because with the face, like, it almost needs to be this way. Because of the rules that the face is going to have. But I don't want it to be the way that it is with this. Like, this is very much not where we want it to be. Which is why it's all going to get its own explaining. And probably some pretty heavy fixes on that too, to be fair. So anyway, we might even have to like mess with it on head XY too. Like, ugh. What is this? Ugh. So gross. In fact, like, ugh, I don't like it. Ugh. Oh no, I'm sorry. Edit, redo that. Okay. Those got moved. Anyway, that's that. Okay, it's moved. And then we have this really long piece here. On the right side. Which you guessed it, is also going to be inside of the... Now, actually, I don't know. I'm kind of debating this. This needs to be inside of head Z, for sure, right? So that when I move Z, it moves with it. I almost wonder if these pieces should not be inside of head XY. The only thing is that I want them to move. Like, you see how it's not moving now? Like, it's not moving now when I do it. And I can give it its own XY parameters, and then it basically will. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's literally whether or not I want them to be in here and move with the head. It somewhat makes sense for, like, these pieces to still be in the head. But this is, like, a much longer piece of hair and should really just be inside of its own, I think. The only reason that I would take these out of head XY is because whatever in the world is going on with this and my meshing here is really bonkers bananas, okay? And it's causing lots of problems with this because that is now the plane that these are on. That might fix itself when I actually give them a mesh to work with. I don't know. So we'll just have to see. But I may pull that out. I may pull those out of this because ew. I mean, gross. Look at this. Why does it shrink? It like shrink wraps to her head. That's not cool. Here with this bang, it makes sense because it's like next to her face. But this should be much bigger. Ick. Anyway. There I go again, displaying, you know, visible forms of disgust because of, like, rigging stuff. But anyway. But, I mean, it's so gross. Anyway, okay, so yeah, I really think that could be outside of it. We'll look at what it looks like when it's drug in. I just don't think it's going to be good. So if we put it inside of head XY, okay, this is the... Is that okay? That actually doesn't look terrible. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, I don't like it here, though. Like, what's going on with this? Specifically that angle in the corner that I'm not a fan of. But the X and Y's look okay, and, like, I could fix the corners. I mean, traditionally, you really want your hair to be part of your head XY. I don't know. We'll try fixing it first. If that doesn't work, then I'll go back and I'll just drag it outside of it and we'll like mess around with stuff and like be more complicated. If it's not inside of head XY, the reason that you want it to be inside of there, like if I were to drag it out, then you have to worry about like the movement matching, especially when you get to like physics and stuff. It's just a little easier if it's on the same folder. But it's gross. Anyway, okay. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take all of these. Do they have? Some of them have meshes already. Which parts have meshes? That one has a mesh. And that part already has a mesh. And that part already has a mesh. Do they all already have meshes? Maybe they all already have meshes. Yeah, I guess they do. No, not all of them do. Somehow I missed these 4 getting meshes. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, auto mesh that. Standard. Okay, so now those all have meshes too. Alright, so there we go. And that's gonna be good. So now I need to think about like how I wanted to do this. I could either work my way down to the hair at the back, or I could do the hair at the back first since it sits on her shoulder and then move up. I think I'm gonna move down. I think I like the idea of moving down better. Okay, so we have the left and the right. You see what my problem is? I can't tell what's supposed to be where. This is in long. Let's turn long off. I don't want to be able to see long. I just want the side bangs L and side bangs L short. To be clear, these are side bangs L. And these are side bangs L2. Which makes sense to me because this should be the left side, really. Come on, Sketch. Front bangs. But I didn't bother renaming them. up here on the hair. I had done that with some other stuff, but I didn't bother it with the hair. So at this point, I think with the hair, it's better to keep the naming convention the same. So this side needs to be left, but this side needs to be right. So I need to change that real fast. Just for the sake of my own sanity. You don't have to change the ID or anything. We just need to, you know, fix it for me so that I can see what I'm doing. But there we go. That gets it. Okay. Yay. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use warp over warp again logic for this. Because this is inside of head XY, but it's not inside of face XY. So what I'm going to create is I'm going to create a side bang right. It's left. It's actually left, but it's right. But don't worry about it. XY, okay? This is going to be... I want to put the R somewhere else. Whatever. Actually, I don't like it on either one, but that's fine. This is going to be our XY for this. We are going to have at least 20 by 18 warp divisions on this one. And the busier divisions are going to be 2 by 4. At least to start with. Okay, we're going to create that. That's now this. That's what this looks like. How intense are the head XY ones? It's got 20 by 18 too. Okay, I don't think that... What's face XY? It also is, but it encompasses all of this. And this is not so... I actually think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bigger. Oh, that's making her hair bigger. That's not what I wanted. Just so it has a little more room to breathe. Because this is just... It's literally just to fix some problems that we're having. And that's it. So we're going to give this one 3 keyforms on X and Y here. And what we're going to do, because I want to adjust this so that it fits, and it doesn't have to follow everything exactly. We're just going to adjust this back to square. For me. Or put it where we think it should go. I mean, we can do that too. That's the point of doing warp over warp like this. Is if I don't like where something is, I can change it. You know, in theory anyway. I mean, once it's under a warp, it will follow that warp's rules. But since it's not under face XY, we can literally just use this to kind of correct where stuff is positioned or fix it, you know? So that kind of becomes okay. So yeah, so if you're thinking about this from a, like, turning your head perspective, right? It should be that... I should not put my hand in my face. Anyway, if we're thinking about it from that kind of perspective, it should be that you do... Like, it should be more visible this way, I feel like, right? So I'm almost thinking we're going to do something like that. It kind of stretches it. I don't know if that's too much of a stretch, though. I think maybe that is okay. So it kind of stretches it out, and you sort of see, like, you see more of this happening here, right? Which I think is good. No, I like that being where it is. I almost want the shading to be different, but I don't know that I really have a lot of control over that. Without just moving the entirety of the mesh. So I think we'll kind of leave it there. And then I can mess around with like the individual layers itself. But as like a rough concept, I like that it gets slightly bigger here. That helps sell. Everything that we're trying to do with like the back hair and everything else, by the way, is just sell that this is the way that her head is turned. Okay, that's literally everything. So that's that. And then this way, we'll straighten things out again from where it is, because this is the one that I don't like specifically. Oh boy, hold on. All right, so let's do. Stuff is still overlapping weirdly here as well, but we're just gonna. Move stuff back into a rough overall configuration. And then, so here it gets wider. Here it really should get thinner. So where that was is actually more correct. I need to think. What is with that gap right there? I think usually that's hidden behind something. Can I turn off my front bangs for a sec? Yeah, that's what that gap is. So, if at all possible, I need to hide that from existing. I think we're going to achieve that by doing something similar to this. The cool thing about this is that even though I am going to give each of these their own XY, if I get it looking pretty good from this point, that process will take a lot less time to do. So now the only part that we really need to fix is up here. There needs to be hair in the gap. Does the back hair fix this? Is a very good question. And the answer is yes. Yes, it does. Okay, so I actually don't have to worry about that as much. Yeah, what I do have to worry about is that matching up. But I will handle that when I get to the back hair, I think. Okay, so that's great. That's good news. That means that I don't have to worry as much about this. So, good. So I just need it not to look busted. And this part down here needs to look decent. Which I think it does on this side at least now. So yippee, we did that part. Yay, guys. This side is interesting because it's sliding up, which is what I have the stuff doing on that one. It's not what I want to happen with this hair, though. I actually want this to really move down almost. Kind of like that, and then I will actually have some of this moving up. But, okay, how much of that does it fix? A little. Not quite enough, though. Where's that? That's her ear. Because that's actually fine. Yeah, so that... Basically, the back hair fixes any of my problems with it looking broken. It would just be that the back hair then would have to move down a good bit, so it really is just... How do I want the front? This. No, 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 dun, 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 dun. I think that's looking a lot more realistic for hair now. I almost want to do more of a squash with that part, though. No, not just literally like a squashing thing happening here. Maybe not with that part, though. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, and then we'll do the opposite. And we'll go up. And it's weird doing stuff like this, okay? Because realistically, all right, it going up means that it needs to shift up like this. That's what needs to happen for it to be believable. But then also, I kind of think that, like, we could pull it down a little too. To give it a little bit of weight. And then just push this up a little further. And then what does that look like? So now if we go up. See, and I think that looks pretty believable as far as like, this is what the up and downs should look like. So now we just have to do my dreaded corners. I don't like it. It's so gross. Okay. Synthesize corners, please, yes. Is that worse? I think that's worse. Why must the corners? See, the corner there doesn't look too bad. And see, and this is because it's in head XY. Like, okay. Undo that. What if I drag this out of head XY? If I were to drag it out of head XY, it's just inside of head Z. Does this look the same? Okay, hold on. Not everything looks the same. Which makes sense. The Y actually does look mostly the same. Which is cool, but we were controlling most of that anyway. But on the X and Y here, you can see it's a little different. It is mostly the same. The only thing is that I would say that this needs to shift a little bit. There. And I might do just a little bit more here. Yeah. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to resynthesize the corners for this ourselves. Oh, it's beautiful. It actually looks like it's supposed to be there. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It doesn't look weird and gross. It looks like actual hair, people. So yeah, so that's what we'll have to do. So we'll probably start doing it with the rigging in the head XY, just so that I can get it roughly what I want it to look like, and then I'll take it back out and I'll sort of tweak it, and they'll just have their own. That will be its own thing. And it's still going to move with this. I mean, that part's not going to change. And we will still have to fix some things with, like, where this is sitting. Although this actually looks okay, I think, here. But especially, like, right there. This is, like, super breaking. In fact, I don't even think, really, that I'm going to fix that with, like, these parts. I could fix it here. Does she have a slight bald spot there on that part? Is the scalp gonna fix that for me? No. Oh, I'm gonna have to fix that. It's annoying. Anyway, that's not because of this though. So if we move that back, I think that should be moved back too, so that it's there. Again, mostly we want it to be the same. So like that doesn't change much, and that'll be fixed with back hair and stuff anyway. So I think that's fine. Check this corner. This corner should really be all right. Oh, I guess that's everywhere. It's because of how it's moving up, so we're really just gonna have to move that in every part of this here. That's totally fine though. Very doable. Over here, same thing. There's not as much of it showing, which is good. But I think I am gonna take it out of head XY, because I didn't like what it was doing with that. For the parts down here, I don't know. I mean, I could move this back, but I kind of like how it looks there. We might shift it just a little bit to give that a little bit more space. Maybe shift this down some. Or maybe shift it more up. Shift this more up and out slightly. There's not really a perfect guide on how you should do hair either. So this is one of the areas of rigging that's more fun, is once you have the bangs and stuff settled, and it's kind of like, how do I want the rest of this to move? It's really more like the animation type workflow, which is pretty fun to mess with. That's going to be fixed with back hair mostly, so I actually think I want to keep that mostly out. Because once I put the rest of that in there, that should work how we want. So, okay. See, this part's weird though. Look at this. So it goes from here to them being like super out there. That's strange. So we do probably want to change that, I guess. I did kind of like the way that looked though, but oh well. Let's move it back this way. Let's see how that is. That's a lot better. It's like that, and then over here, again, I kind of think over here looks pretty good. One thing is maybe shift this down some more here. That's really kind of the only thing that I'm seeing. Yeah, I actually like that pretty well. That's pretty dynamic with the way that it's moving. And I think it helps balance out, like it not being in the head XY gives it a little bit more weight, and I think helps balance out the other angles of like her bangs and stuff that look a little bit worse on their own. I don't know if me saying that kind of makes sense. It also helps mask like some of the weird, which I tried to fix that as much as I knew how to, but like there is a little bit of weird contortion on her face when I turn it. Which, I mean, you know, for the amount of rigging that I understand is probably fine. I still think that hers looks a lot better than like the way that mine or Nana's heads look when we turn. But the hair being more dynamic is very nice. Like, especially like this right here, when it kind of goes up and down. There's a nice quality to that. Okay, so let's go to modeling physics settings. And let me play it with the posing and see how we like the way that that's looking. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So we need to do it the same with the other side. And to make it look a little more 3D, I need to do the individual XYs for each of the pieces too, I think. And not cut corners there, especially because I'm going to give each one of them their own physics, and so it's probably better to just go ahead and give each one their own mesh. The only reason you might not want to do something like that is that, like, if things look pretty good, and I think it does look pretty good just on its own XYing, especially because we took it out of the head XY and there's less for me to fix because of that. If it looks pretty good on its own, there's not as big of a reason to worry so much about giving everything its own deformer, because most of that hair should move together anyway. But I could make it a little bit more dynamic if I give them each one, so I probably will still. And then you'll add in physics. But they will be really minor edits. Like, we shouldn't have to do a ton with it because it already looks nice with it. It'll be small tweaks. Will basically be all that we do. Because there's not a lot, like up here on the bangs, there was a lot that I had to do to fix like the XYs for where everything was. But on this hair, there really isn't. Like, I don't see any like major flaws with the way that it's moving beyond just what we did there. So, you know, I might move like the tip of a piece of hair more to the side or do something like that. But that would really be the only stuff that we're gonna super change. For the most part, I'd say this looks pretty good. Okay, So it's 8:54. Do I want to end stream or do I want to get the other piece of the side hair done? I think I want to at least get the other piece of that side hair done first. And a lot less flat. And then once we get that done, I may end stream for tonight. And we'll work on more of that. The rest of the back hair really shouldn't take us long. Like, because most of the back hair, this is the cool part, right? So the back hair long, like we have these pieces, and they are individual pieces, right? You see? But a lot of them, maybe other than the side, I'll give them their own XYs and stuff, but a lot of these are bigger. And so they don't need as many Bezier divisions. Okay? And the movement that you're going to get from these is going to be a lot less than the movement for these up here. So bigger pieces of stuff, hair and stuff like this, are going to tend to move that way. And with the rest of her back hair, like a lot of it is really going to move together rather than being separate. So other than maybe like this strand here, these strands, and this part will probably be the only parts that get like their own XY. The rest of this can all go under one big XY for the back hair and just kind of shift a little bit when her head turns, because you're not going to get as much from that. And then of course we'll do physics settings and stuff later, but that's not, you know, that's different. Physics settings is actually my favorite part of rigging. It's really nice. We did some of it when we did the eyes, but you guys really haven't gotten to see it yet with the rest of the model. And there's a lot of fun stuff you get to do with physics. But yeah, but in general, I think that. So let me turn the back hair back off. Let's do this side, and then I think I'm going to end for tonight. So going back up here, we have the left side bangs, which we're going to make a new warp deformer for, and we're going to call it, I remember my name connection, L side bangs XY. I think I did leave it at 20 by 18, and we did a 2 by 4, right? That's what we did. Okay. I already like the look of that. I think that's good. And then we're going to give it our keyframes, separate this again, go here. And same kind of thing, right? Like, we're just going to kind of fix this. I want to follow the same steps that we did on the other one. So, kind of straighten this back out. And then think about how I want to move it. And realistically, this really needs to